You are my fire, my one desire. Believe when I say I want it that way. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between. Jay's got a sports show, and you are tuning into that sports show coming at you on this beautiful Tuesday. Not really beautiful, it is very, very cloudy where I am currently at. How was y'all's weekend? How was yesterday? Did you enjoy Monday Night Football? Did you not enjoy it? I apologize, Chiefs fans. We're going to go over it today. We're also going to go over a little fact I learned about college football. And then we're going to talk some Jets. We're going to talk some Steelers. And then I want to give a brief little thing on Miles Bridges returning for the Hornets a couple days ago. I missed it, and I feel bad for missing it. So we're going to talk about it right now. Let's just hop in. And of course, before we hop in, make sure you like, share, rate the show, especially share and especially rate it. Need it, would love it. Helps push the podcast up the charts, helps push just the more beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ears. Handsome ears of beautiful makes you uncomfortable. And if both of those make you uncomfortable, whatever adjective makes you comfortable. Adjective. I haven't used that in a while. And of course, well, before we really get into it, there's a bit of a schedule change that might affect the show and it might not. What do I mean by that? I work for Amazon. For those of you who do not keep up with my TikTok or just don't know that about me, I work for Amazon. And as you know, holiday season is coming around. So Amazon is going to get really busy. And I am now working Tuesdays through Saturdays, 12-hour days. So I don't know how it's really going to affect the show. I'm gonna try to still make it daily. Gonna try to still come up here with a lot of energy. I know mostly I don't have a lot of energy, but make an entertaining show, not be yawning the entire time, not be falling asleep. If I can't, I'm gonna do that for the first couple weeks, and if I am completely dead on Sunday and have no energy to do anything, and if I'm falling asleep, I might push this to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing. I made this daily because I feel like I miss a lot of stories and I should jump on the stories when they come out, relatively. Sorry, my dog just squeaked and whimpered and that scared me, but she's just playing with Opie. Um, but if I get too tired and if I get too overwhelmed, I will make it a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing. I want to keep this as consistent as possible because everybody knows that's the key to really succeeding in this, but that's what's happening. 12-hour overnight shifts suck. Uh, so at the very least, I don't know if I'm going to be able to put them out at 3 o'clock, which is the time I try to have them out. I don't know if I'll be able to have them out by 3 o'clock, but tops will be like 5. So bear with me on that. I'm sorry. I would love to make this my full job. I love doing this. Of course, I got bills to pay, and content creation does not pay the bills, at least for right now. It will in the future because we are putting that energy into the universe because that's what we want out of this universe. So let's get into it. And the one college football thing I want to talk about, Michigan got its 1,000th win against Maryland, right? And I go on TikTok scrolling, and I see that a lot of their wins are against like high schools. And then people go on to describe other wins that other schools have had that aren't really wins. Like Tennessee facing the Tennessee School of the Deaf. Death. Yeah, they faced a bunch of corpses. No, the deaf. And what sucks about it is they won 16-6. They beat a football team that could not hear 16-6. Are you kidding me? Hey, shout out them. Shout out them. My grandmother's a sign language teacher, so shout out them. Good for them. But that took me down a rabbit hole of learning a lot of weird stuff about college football, including the 1966 season. And this is going to be a little shade back to my original podcast, Sports Tales. I doubt anybody who's listening to this listened to that, but I had a podcast called Sports Tales where every week I'd post a podcast about something that happened in the history of sports. And I learned about the 1966 college football season, a season in which Notre Dame and Michigan State tied. They played each other and they were ranked 1 and 2 respectively. They played each other and Notre Dame kneeled the ball to have a tie because I believe overtime was not a thing back then. And both teams finished 9-0-1. 9-0-1 with Notre Dame not playing a bowl game, refusing to play a bowl game because they probably thought they would lose, and Michigan State not eligible for a bowl game for some reason. And then Notre Dame was just crowned national champion because back then the teams played and then it was voted on who's the national champion. The dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm going to stare right into the camera. You think college football is bad now? It's awful. College football is awful right now. But back then, the teams played, they were ranked in like 4 different polls, and then it was voted on. No one played a game. It was voted on who should be crowned the champion. What? What? The dumbest thing. And then it really aggravates you when Alabama, who was back-to-back champions coming into this season, was ranked number 1 in the preseason, dropped because they didn't have a week 1 game. They went 11-0, never rising, never rising, never rising. They went 11-0, didn't move up the polls, didn't get any votes for the national championship. I hate college football because of the NCAA and how the NCAA runs it, but I cannot imagine how angry I would be back in this time. Who is the dumb hillbilly that said, "Oh, you know how every other sport competes for the national championship, has a game dedicated to the national." I don't know why I'm making them sound like that. Dedicated to the goddamn national championship. How about how about we just had the boys play the season and we vote on them? How about we vote on them? Let's not have them play a championship football game. Notre Dame, motherfucker. This just shows college football has always been broken. It's always been busted. They've made small changes to make it a little bit better, but it's always been a mess when it comes to crowning a national champion. Let's move on to pro football, the NFL. And we'll talk about Monday night. What happened Monday night football? Eagles won 21-17. They looked completely stale for 3 quarters, really. They had one good drive in the first quarter, and the rest they were turning the ball over. They couldn't do anything on offense. And then I believe in the fourth quarter they scored 14 points, took the lead 21-17, and never really gave it up. How do I feel about the Eagles? I still don't trust them. I made a video about it. It's weird that they're 9-1 because they don't feel like a 9-1 team. And I don't want to push it this far, but I am. The Steelers are 6-4 now. Do they really feel like a 6-4 team? No. Do the Eagles, if you watch the Philadelphia Eagles this season, do they feel like a 9-1 football team? Do they feel like the team that has the best record in the NFL? No. Objectively, no. But they keep winning. They keep winning. They keep winning. And I guess that's the most important part. Doesn't matter how you do it. You keep winning. And now they're 9-1. Only one loss. Would I take them over like the 49ers? No. Do I think when the Cowboys are on, do I think I'll take them over the Cowboys? I don't know. I don't know. For the Chiefs, I want to talk about Travis Kelce. The Chiefs lost this game because of the receiving core, because the receiving core plays so inconsistent. MVS has taken a step back from last year. So has Kadarius Toney. Justin Watson dropped a very important ball late in the game, but very inconsistent. Rashid Rice, very inconsistent. They need an alpha. They need an alpha in that receiving core. I Chiefs fans are probably hoping and wishing that DeAndre Hopkins chose Kansas City. I bet you there's some Chiefs fans that are complaining that he chose Tennessee and, the state of Tennessee right now, that he chose Tennessee over Kansas City. I want to talk about Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce didn't look like he was in the game. I hate being the guy who assumes things. I hate being the guy that, I don't know Travis Kelce. I don't know where his mind is. This is my assumption based on the circumstantial evidence surrounding it, I guess. Justin Watson catches a touchdown from Patrick Mahomes to start the game. And Travis Kelce is usually the guy to be the first to celebrate and jump up and high fives and, let's go. Like, Travis Kelce has always been that guy. Justin Watson got a touchdown, and Travis just kind of tapped him on the helmet and stayed behind the group. And I was like, what's going on? And then he was walking up to the line. Like, he was running his routes fine, but he was walking up to the line. He had a very uncharacteristic fumble. It just seemed like he was out, like he was checked out of the game. And then you find out 2 hours before kickoff, he's thinking about retirement. He's tired of football. He's tired of the effect it's having on his body. And then you learn that last week he was pretty much just touring Europe with Taylor Swift, being at all her concerts. And then you take the evidence of him saying last year was the best year of his life when he got to do the podcast with Jason. And then after the season, he hosted SNL, did some late night shows, did some live shows on the podcast. You saw him having a lot of fun with it. And I think Travis Kelce has realized that he's going to have a life after football. He's going to have a very successful life after football. And it seems like he's happy outside of football. And he's starting to think about the wear and tear, the surgeries and the rehab, and feeling like most players use this line, feeling like, every Monday you wake up and it feels like you've been in a car accident. Like, he's played enough. He's got 2 rings, considered one of the greatest tight ends of all time, surefire Hall of Famer, couple All Pros, boatload of money and he's just going to make great money going forward as well, especially if Taylor Swift works out. I'm happy for him. It's going to suck not seeing the Chiefs with 87 on the field, but it feels like that's what it's coming to after this year. And I'm not going to doubt his love of football. It seems like he loves football. It seems like he's aware that he owes a lot to football, but it just seems like he's better off not in it right now. And this may just be an overreaction. Jack, it's just 1 week and it was off a bye and, he was probably a little rusty or whatever, but I'm just saying all this evidence surrounding it and how he looked last night, I wouldn't be surprised if he retired after this season. Just went off to do his media thing. Him and Jason retiring together and doing their thing. It'll be cool. And I mentioned this in the TikTok I just made. It's kind of weird seeing that, the ceiling for the age that you play in the NFL is just getting higher and higher and higher, especially for quarterbacks. But it's getting that way for every position. Yet you are still seeing guys like Travis Kelce, like Aaron Donald, 8, 9 years into their career, 8, 9, 10 years into their career, they're like, I'm done. My body can't take it. It's just with all the, training techniques and diets and the way you take care of your body and medicine and whatever, making it more and more possible for you to play longer and longer. Guys are choosing to play shorter, which is something I'm noticing. But let me know what y'all thought of Monday Night Football. The Twitter, the TikTok, the question that will be connected to this episode. Love to know your thoughts. I got a burp. Probably heard that, and I apologize. Let's talk Jets. Why are we talking Jets? Well, we got two stories that I'm really interested in. Of course, Friday the Jets are playing the Dolphins in a Black Friday game, and Tim Boyle will be starting for the New York Jets. It seems like the Jets have given up on Zach Wilson, especially since Tim Boyle is going to be the starter and Trevor Siemian is going to be the backup. Zach Wilson is going to be the third string quarterback for the Jets on Friday. And that doesn't shock me. It shocks me a little bit. It really seems like Robert Salah wanted Zach Wilson to work. And that's what really sucks about the situation. You can't say that the Jets gave up on a young quarterback before they gave him time to develop. No. They gave him one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And they gave him more than half the season plus whatever playing time he had last season and the season before. Because I believe he was Trevor Lawrence draft, right? Was he? Yeah, because everybody was mad. He opted Justin Fields, yeah. Said 3 seasons. And while he looked better in some games, point out the Chiefs game, maybe the Eagles game, he played pretty well. In other games, he looks like Zach Wilson, what we all know Zach Wilson to be. And the Jets believed in him. The Jets gave him a chance, and he blew it. And I hate to say that. Last year, Zach Wilson kind of lost favor with me with the, not taking accountability in the media. But this season, he showed a lot more that he was taking accountability and he was realizing, like, he was being humble. And it's for nothing. It's not for nothing. It seems like he grew as a person, which is good for him. Seems like he was having a lot of fun learning under Aaron Rodgers, which is good for him. And maybe, there's a small chance that he's Aaron Rodgers' backup next season. But it's just sad, man. It really sucks. I think a lot of people this year, especially when they watch Hard Knocks, really wanted Zach Wilson to succeed. And it just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. He's not good enough. And maybe dropping him all the way down the third string is trying to teach him a lesson, but I don't know what lesson he can learn from that. He could have used that last year when his character was in question, but this year, it just seems like it's going to hurt his confidence even more. And who was it? There was a quarterback who played well in college and described the feeling of playing an NFL game and kind of losing it. I think it was Drew Brees, actually. It was Terry Bradshaw. I watched the documentary on Terry Bradshaw, and he was talking about how he sucked his first season. He sucked his first season. And what he described was he forgot how to throw a football because he was not confident in himself at all. Terry Bradshaw lost all confidence he had in himself, and he could not remember how to throw a football. And that's what happens with a lot of these guys. They get in the league, they're not ready mentally, and the media gets to them, and the game's going real fast, and they can't keep up with it. They get overwhelmed, and then they just forget how to play quarterback. It sucks. I feel like that's what's happening with Zach Wilson. Even though he only had one good year at BYU, you could say he was overhyped to begin with, maybe, but that's all I got to say. The other Jet story I want to talk about is Aaron Rodgers is looking to return in December, which is a lot earlier than a lot of people were thinking. He's hoping to return so that the Jets have a chance at the playoffs. The problem is He's looking at around middle December, so that's 3-4 weeks away. The Jets have a very good chance at losing every single game. Let's look at their schedule real quick. I should have wrote this down, and I apologize. Let's look at their schedule for the next couple weeks. They got to the Dolphins on Friday, in which they're going to lose, right? Da-da-da-da-da. So they're going to lose to the Dolphins. Then they got the Falcons, winnable game, but I think they'll lose that as well. They got the Texans, they'll lose. And then they got the Dolphins again, in which if you go middle of December, he might return for that. But at that point in the season, they will be 4-9, 4-9, and out of the playoffs. Out of the playoffs. The AFC is too loaded for them to go, well, if the playoffs started right now, I believe like the Jets would have a shot because the Jaguars would make it. I think the Texans would make it. Or here, yeah, let's go out through like the playoff picture on who's going to make it. I think the Jaguars and Texans make it. Jaguars win the division. Baltimore wins the division. Kansas City wins the division, and Miami wins the division. I think that's the 4 division winners. And the three wild card teams, I bet, will be the Steelers, the Texans, and I guess if they finish second, I think the Bills are too good to miss the playoffs, though. I think the Bills are too good to miss the playoffs. So you're sitting at 4-9, a couple games behind the Bills. Is there any point in returning? I'm sorry that was a long thing, but is there really any point in returning if you're 4-9 and out of the playoffs? Okay, Aaron comes back, you go on a 4-game win streak. Cool. You finish the season 8-9, just missing the playoffs. And what if Aaron has way more confidence in his ankle than he should? You know what I'm saying? I know has this all experimental stuff and immunized whatever. But I don't know. It'd be cool seeing Aaron on the field. It really sucks for the Jets that he spent one game with them, not even a quarter with them, not even 3 drives, and was out. But it'd be cool. I don't think it's smart, though. For our last NFL story, the Steelers have fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Their socials have been blowing up since pretty much the start of the season, trying to get rid of Matt Canada. What do I think? I think he deserved it. Should have been fired after last year. And hopefully, sorry, big stretch. Hopefully, they can get an offensive coordinator that believes in Kenny Pickett, that can actually help progress Kenny Pickett and not trap it. Because it seems like Matt Canada had an offense that he wanted it run like this. Don't do anything outside of it. I don't know if that's because he didn't trust Kenny Pickett, or I don't know if that's because Matt Canica, yeah, Matt Canica was this, hard ass. You're gonna do it my way. This is how I called the plays. This is how you're gonna run the plays. But it's a good thing for the Steelers. Good change up. They really need it. They're gonna make a playoff push, and it's not like, you know, I criticized the Bills for firing Ken Dorsey, but Ken Dorsey was actually putting together a good offense outside of the run game. So that's why I criticize them more for firing Ken Dorsey in the middle of the season while you're trying to make a playoff push. The Steelers are trying to make a playoff push. They need something new on offense, or they need better play calling. You're still going to be stuck with the Matt Canada system, which I don't think is a systematically bad system. You just need to run it properly, and you need to let Kenny Pickett run it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I got to say about that. Last story, and I promise I won't do that again. Miles Bridges has returned to the Charlotte Hornets. and he returned to a standing ovation in Charlotte. Now, if you don't know, if you're a football fan and you don't keep up with basketball, or if you're a basketball fan and don't really care about Charlotte, Miles Bridges has been accused by his girlfriend of just being the biggest scumbag. I won't detail everything right now, but he's been accused, he's been arrested, and he's also turned himself in for violating a restraining order, a protection order. I believe that's the same things, but I read both of those, so I'm saying both of them. He was given a 30-game suspension in the summer, and it dropped to 10 after he sat out all last season. Now, I'm about to bring up John Morant's suspension in comparison, and I didn't want to do that unless I found out that the NBA made him sit out last season. Because if the NBA made him sit out last season and 10 more games this season, I don't feel the need for bringing up John Morant, but I could not find a single thing that said that the NBA made him sit out last season. If you are a basketball fan and you know about the situation, because I heard that he was sitting out last season, but I didn't read into it that much outside of what he was being accused of. If you know that the NBA made him sit, let me know. But until then, John Morant got a 25-game suspension. 25-game suspension for being an idiot on Instagram Live. Being an idiot on Instagram Live gets you close to the same suspension within 5 games. Because let's be fair to the NBA, they gave him a 30-game suspension. They didn't give him a 10-game suspension. They gave him a 30-game suspension and just credited him for sitting out last season. And they could have credited all of it. They could have taken all of it away because he sat out last season, but they still felt the need that he needed to sit 10 games. But a 5-game difference between being that and just being a moron on Instagram Live. And it goes to show you over and over and over again. I want you to keep this in your mind. Brands, leagues, companies, they don't have your best interests at heart. They don't care about morality. They don't care. What they care about is affecting their bottom dollar. And if one of the biggest stars in the game is, flashing a gun on Instagram Live and, pointing it, aiming it at the camera and whatever, can't have that. Bad for the brand, bad for the business. But if a guy just gets a little criminal charge, just accused of something, and even then, as I'm talking through this, because that's the excuse I started hearing, and I was like, no, yeah, no, that makes sense. But as I start talking about it, I guess because Miles Bridges is not on the level of John Morant in terms of talent and in terms of star ability. So when I really start to make this comparison, it gets very, very convoluted. And I don't know if that's the right word. Very shaky. Because you're thinking about the brand, and someone comes in and they're like, yeah, we gave a 25-game suspension to this dude flashing a gun on Instagram Live. People are like, okay. But if you're like, yeah, we gave a 30-game suspension to a domestic violence, how you say, perpetrator, I don't think that's very good for the brand, brother. I don't think that's very good for the brand. Of course, leagues are probably still, under the impression that you can sweep things under the rugs and nobody will notice. People are still going to watch the NBA, and apparently Charlotte fans still love Miles Bridges. So I just want to say, I hate when people talk about sports fans in terms of them just being meatheads, being morons, sweeping things under the rug, turning a blind eye. I hate when people describe sports fans like that. And then I see Miles Bridges getting a standing ovation in Charlotte. And I'm like, I can't really deny it. It's what sports fans are. They're going to do it unless it's their favorite player or one of the best players on their team. That's the show. Jackie's got a sports show. You just turned into that sports show. I appreciate you for tuning into the sports show. Very, very appreciative. Follow the Twitter at JJester615. Follow the show's Twitter at Jackie's Show with two S's, one low, one capital. Follow me on TikTok at Jackie Boy Sports. Try to post a couple videos a day on there, daily takes on there. And email me questions, comments, concerns, whatever you want. OldJackieBoy1021 at gmail.com. That is OLE, JackieBoy1021 at gmail.com. And as always, please like, rate, and share the show. It really, really helps trying to do this full time so I don't have to spend 12 hours in a warehouse busting my back. It's not that hard, but I hate it. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And I will see y'all tomorrow, hopefully. Take care.